Severin University, right in this area. Actually, right. See where that L-shaped pond is in that apartment complex. That was a long time ago, though. Good times. Yeah, is it Mickey D's there? Is the Ale House still there? Yep, Ale House is still there. Albertsons isn't there anymore. There was a supermarket right there where Building 4 is. I lived off Curry Ford when you lived there. Oh, okay. Do you play GeoGuessr? No, Dozu, but I'm pretty damn good at it. I like GeoGuessr. But like everything else, I try to make it difficult. Anyway, let's get into space news. I'm just going to flash the title card here for a moment, and we'll see what's going on. This makes me want to play freaking Train Simulator and build a layout in Train Simulator. It's so stupid. All right. No stretch break today. I'm just going to put tunage on for a second, and then we'll go.
We have been given the scientific knowledge, the technical ability, and the materials to pursue the exploration of the universe. To ignore these great resources would be a corruption of a God-given ability.
10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
I'd like to know what you feel as far as the responsibilities of representing mankind on this trip.
That's relatively difficult to answer. It's a job that we collectively said that was possible and we could do, and of course the nation itself is backing us, so we just sincerely hope that we measure up to that.
The whole Apollo program was designed to get two Americans to the lunar surface and back again to Earth safely. The enormity of this event is something that only history will be able to judge.
Apollo 11 has very simply been given the mission of carrying men to the moon, landing them there, and bringing them safely back.
You can feel it in here when it's on.
Okay, I'll flight controllers, go now.
Go, I don't know.
Go. GNC, go. Econ, go. Surgeon, go. Capcom, we're go for landing.
You're go for landing, over. Roger, I say, go for landing. 30 feet, 2.5 now.
30 seconds.
4 forward, just to the right, level. 20 feet, 2.5. Forward, just to the right. Contact light.
Okay, engine stop. Contact light, engine stop. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. Roger Tranquility, we copy you on the ground. There's a bunch of guys turning blue down here. We're breathing again. I figure we needed that. Get a little bit into the space mood here. Yeah? Is that good? Movie trailers are okay, Six Shot. Movie trailers are just fine. You won't get DMCA for showing the movie trailer. That's why they make the trailers. The Apollo 11 movie is 2 years old. Dude, I saw that in IMAX in Boston. It was unbelievable. Oh, it felt so good. Today I learned there's a free-floating robot. Yeah. Yeah. And it's Japanese, too. Yeah, it's great. So, where would one find that to watch? It's the Apollo 11 movie. So, long story short, there were a film studio in the 60s was filming a documentary for Apollo 11. And they shot everything in 70 millimeter, right? They shot everything in 70 millimeter, and then for whatever reason, the documentary didn't get made. That Apollo 11 movie is all of that footage. Somebody got the rights to all that footage and they made it into this movie. And that's why some of these pictures are just so crisp. This isn't a movie set. That's actual footage. That is footage from Apollo 11 rollout. I mean, look at the cars, dude. The cars are a really easy way to tell. Look at it. There's a deuce and a half over there. It's a deuce and a half fire truck. When's the last time you saw a deuce and a half fire truck? This is not... That's real. That's real Apollo 11 footage, which is really, really cool. Yeah, Sebi. That, dude, that crawler transporter, that CT, dude, we still use those. We still use this damn thing. This footage is over 50 years old. We still use them for rolling rockets to the pad. One of these things is going to move SLS to the pad in another couple of months. How crazy is that? That's really cool, man. That's really freaking cool. Look at, dude, look at it. Guys, this is the ONC building where we watched Crew 2 astronauts suit up. That's ONC. It's the same room. That's real footage right there, man. They can remaster it. The thing is, because 70 millimeter is like, you can't, so a little bit for film nerds, and I'm not going to say it exactly right, but you know what I mean. The 70 millimeter film can be scaled to 4K. Now you can't take like film and really attribute it directly to resolution. That's like comparing inches and centimeters, or not inches and centimeters. That's like comparing inches and meters a second. That's just not. I'm sure you can find some kind of conversion in there somewhere, but 70 millimeter film is like beyond 4K quality. It's really, really good. I mean, so if you take 70 mil and then you record it in 4K, you get this. That's my hero right there, man. High quality 35 millimeter is approximately 80 megapixels. 70 millimeter is 4 times that resolution. Yep. I mean, this is real footage. That's real footage that was shot in July of 1969. There's Buzz. And there's Mikey. Dude, we watched Crew 4. Or not Crew 4, Crew 2 come out of here. We're gonna watch Crew 3 walk out of here. And Crew 4 down the road. And this guy's building. They got into a Tesla Model X that was parked right here. Seriously. It's the same building. From Ohio. Yeah, well, here we go. It's crazy that we've been just using that same thing for that long. That's firing room 1. Same room they're going to control SLS from. Oh my gosh. Yeah, oh, okay. Man, look at the pressure right there. That's crazy. So you're gonna get you get something like this when you get near the sound barrier. What's going on here is that you have basically air that's going really, really fast, going from really, really slow to really, really fast. And when it goes from really, really slow to really, really fast, that means your pressure's changing really quick. So you get condensation like this. You get this vapor cone coming around here. You could see how the vapor cone is literally pushing the air out of the way, and there's air that's basically getting caught right here in this pocket. And you can even, yeah, look at that. You can even see the boundary layer off there. That's really cool. That's really cool. Look, you can see it around the CSM as well. And look at that. As the pressure drops, look at the cone. Oh, that is so freaking cool, dude. Saturn V question. Could they throttle the F1s for maximum dynamic pressure, or they just engineer the rocket to account for it? I believe they shut off. The F1 engines don't throttle. Think about F1 engines like a sprinkler. It's either on or it's off. There's no like halfway in between. Think about like the sprinkler that does this. That thing is either working and it's shooting off like 30 feet, or it's like this little piss stream that comes out. It's one or the other. F1 engines don't throttle. They really have on and off, and that's about it. Their solution was to shut the center engine off. Yeah, that's the solution. The F1 is about as close as you can get to an SRB without being an SRB. Yeah, it's pretty... I mean, and that's... It's not like an SRB. It's not an SRB, but its operation is very similar. Like, the thing has two settings, on and off. I mean, guys, look at the combustion chamber on this thing. The chamber geometry on this thing is nuts. Like, that's the combustion chamber. That's it. There's your injector plate. So each one of these is a fuel injector. And then because it's bipropellant, one of them is a fuel injector and the other one's an oxidizer injector. Okay? Fuel is pumped into the injector plate, and they have fuel and oxidizer injectors basically next to each other to get them to atomize. But if you look, I mean, look at the throat. Like, if we think about a typical picture of a rocket engine, you're thinking throat, and then you're thinking nozzle, kind of like this, right? And then you have your combustion chamber here. This is a convergent divergent rocket engine. You know, basically explosion happens here. It goes past the speed of sound in the throat, and then it expands out, and then you get big happy stuff coming out the bottom. Flamey bits to flamey end if you subscribe to Tim, right? That's a standard convergent divergent design. If you look at the F1 does this. That's it. It's very unorthodox. Look at that thing. That, like I said, that is nothing. That's like nothing. Dude, there's nothing that works like that nowadays. It's hardly even a throat. That's right. Yeah. Basically, throw more fuel and oxidizer at the problem was the solution here. Yeah, that was it. Do you want an engine that produces 1.5 million pounds of thrust? Deliver more fuel and oxidizer, and you know what the crazy part is? These things still got really freaking hot. If we go back here and look, they actually had to coat the outside. These things are liquid cooled. The oxidizer is going through the nozzle to cool it. These things actually were wrapped in asbestos on top of that, and they still melted. The amount of heat being thrown off from that thing. Anybody that knows anything about combustion knows that, you know, a byproduct of combustion is heat, because thermodynamics is annoying, to say the least. And you know, combustion efficiency is absolutely a thing. The F1s gave off so much heat they could bake a cake from 30 feet away. Well, probably more than that, probably 100 feet away. 30 meters. Why ribbed? No, it looks like the F1 nozzle is a bunch of tubes kind of wrapped around each other, because that's exactly what it is. They couldn't figure out how to make a milled cooling channel. They couldn't do that. So here, the F1, if you look at it, here, I'll show you another picture of it. If you look, it looks like just a bunch of tubes wrapped together. See that? It's a bunch of metal tubes. It's like the internet. It's a series of tubes. See all that? Because that's exactly what it is. You guys know the barrels from the Wild West? It's a bunch of pieces of wood with steel rings around it, right? Like this. Like very stereotypical barrel, right? Same exact idea. Only swap out the wooden planks with little tubes that are bent with the profile of the rocket engine. And that's how they rolled propellant through these things. The propellant went through these tubes, and then it goes into the injector plate. It's pretty crazy. They made them like a frickin', they're made like a frickin' barrel. That's the only way they could, the material science just wasn't there. It was 50 years ago. That's how, actually, the F1 engine dates back to the late 50s, which is even crazier. That's how they did it. And you want to know what's crazy? Check this out. RL10. Of course, I picked the absolute smallest picture. Let's just go over here. Yep, RL10's made the same way. Same thing. RL10s are still made that way to this day. How messed up did they get when they splashed down? Oh. Well, actually, Jeff Bezos went on an expedition 10 years ago to go and retrieve Apollo 11's engines. If you go to the Museum of Flight in Seattle, you can see the byproduct of an engine hitting the water going at a considerable amount of speed. Yeah, something like that, Tessa. Yeah. This is about, dude, the power pack. The jet engine, the gas generator. Look up how much shaft horsepower the gas generator has on an F1 engine. It's like 60,000 horsepower or something ridiculous. The jet engine that gives it fuel, that feeds the fuel. It's something absolutely absurd. Yeah, see, they went and found the rocket engines and they scooped them out. And they're at the Museum of Flight. I've actually seen those things up close. See that? Some parts were actually pretty okay for being underwater for a long period of time. Look at that injector plate. The baffles on the injector plate are pristine, which is crazy. You see this kind of, looks like the helm of a pirate ship. You see that thing right there? Anybody know why that's there? That's a very important thing. This little metal structure on top of the injector plate right there. Is there an alarm going off at your place? No, it's just the air conditioner, Canuck. That's right, Cerebral. There's the baffling plate to prevent pogo oscillation. Yeah, exactly, Tessa. Yep, they put those baffles in there to prevent combustion instability from happening. Pogo oscillation almost killed the Saturn V on the way up. Yep, there it is. There's your cooling channels right there. See the cooling channels? They would flow the propellants through there and give a nice cooler thermal medium between the explodey stuff that's in here and the outside of the rocket. Yep, Merker's that right there. See, believe it or not, see these things? This thing right here that looks like a, you know, a cookie cutter almost. That's why our space program made it to the moon. Seriously, that's without that, the Saturn V will. The Saturn V doesn't work as well. Let me put it to you like that. The F1 gas generator test from 2013. Let me see. I never seen this. They brought one back to life. Let me see. All right, Neo. That'd be pretty cool, Synerd. Well, the reason why the Russians use multiple nozzles for their rocket motors isn't that they don't have a power pack that's able to handle it. The reason why they have multiple nozzles like on an RD-180 and an RD-170 is because of heat. That same frigging problem. The Russians just split it up over a bunch of nozzles. That was their solution. So I want to read about this test. On January 10, 2013, a resurrected gas generator from a Saturn V F1 engine completed 2 hot fire tests that are part of a series of tests at test stand 116. The primary test objectives are to gather performance data from the refurbished gas generator and to demonstrate new test stand capabilities for conducting future tests with liquid oxygen and rocket-grade kerosene fuel. Data from these tests will benefit the development of an advanced affordable propulsion system needed for the evolved Space Launch System heavy rocket. As a test for the Pyreos boosters. Man, F-1Bs would have been a good idea. Why is there soot? Well, Baz, think about it. Okay, why would you... So that soot is unburnt fuel. Why? It does roll coal. It has to, Joe. It'll melt itself if it doesn't. Sorry, Baz, I kind of gave it away. It has to roll coal. You have to run it fuel rich. They run with a very high fuel content to keep the thing cool, to keep it from melting. Because if you run fuel rich, you burn at a lot lower temperature. Yeah, and also at the same time, you're extremely powerful. Running fuel rich, it doesn't matter if it's a car, it doesn't matter if it's an airplane, it doesn't matter if it's a rocket. Running fuel rich in anything that combusts something to make energy, right? If you run fuel rich, you make the most amount of power. However, you're very inefficient. Very inefficient. Because unburnt fuel is coming out the gas generator in this case. Guys, this right here, see that black soot cloud? If we firing, that's that right there, because that comes out of this. See that? This soot cloud comes out of here, gets dumped into this manifold, and it film cools the nozzle. It keeps this part of the nozzle from melting, because this is the part of the nozzle that's cooled via those cooling channels. Down here is not. This little nozzle extension, nope. That's what they did. That's what this thing does. It dumps fuel into the nozzle on the inside and uses that cooler operative word fuel to keep the inside of this nozzle from melting. Fighter jets run fuel rich. An afterburner, yeah, an afterburner could be called that. Ooh, nice. How much high dynamic range do you want in this picture? Yes. Yeah, Cerebral, it's called film cooling. I know, engineers are not very good at coming up with names. It uses a film of cooler gases coming out of the gas generator to cool the engine. It's called film cooling. That's a closed cycle gas generator. All right? As opposed to an Open cycle gas generator. Want to see an open cycle gas generator? Look. That's an open cycle gas generator. Now you know why Falcon 9 is covered in soot when it flies through its own exhaust cloud. Because that. SpaceX does the same thing. They operate their gas generator at a very fuel rich. That's why it's dumping out all this extra fuel. And that's what rolling coal is. You ever see a diesel truck do this and shoot it in somebody's face? They're doing that because they're operating the diesel motor fuel rich to make more power. That's why diesel trucks have this huge soot thing. The funny part of that is that, yeah, you're making more power, but at the behest of efficiency. But I don't think those guys give a crap. The funnier part of that is that diesel motors can actually, if you actually get it stoic, if you run equal parts, you don't run fuel rich or you don't run oxidizer rich, and you're using a turbo, diesel engines can make tons of power. That's why a big rig, if you picture a big rig running and it just pops out smoke for a second, because the computer is controlling it and getting the motor to run at the most power at the best efficiency it can. That's why diesel, like big rigs, only shoot out smoke for a second. You're right, I don't care. Big rigs run compound turbos. Yeah, Sawyer, you're leaving a lot of power on the table doing that. Just saying. Ask anybody that's a diesel tuner. They'll tell you the same thing. Can't beat physics. I can't beat the laws of physics, Captain. The most powerful diesels won't be very sooty at all. Less wear when running fuel rich too? Not so much. Yeah, there you go, Mile. But turbos are expensive. Yippers. Anyway, you should just, have you tried just, running a non-diesel engine and being awesome and painting your truck 3 different colors like me? Have you tried that? It's pretty cool. Just saying. I'm just saying, it's just, Alright, let's see what we got. So, let's jump into space news. A little bit of rocket stuff right there. Here, we have some onboard footage, and I did show that at the beginning of space news, but check this out. Onboard footage from NS-18.
This is Earth? Holy hell. God.
Weightlessness. That's awesome. No description could equal space. There's someone on the way. Something. Yeah, it's some hard overview effects. So if you missed it this morning, the NS-18 New Shepard rocket launched and William Shatner was on it. Along with Audrey, what's her last name? She works for Blue Origin. And then there's Glenda Rye and Chris Bosheisen are their names. Powers, there you go, Shrugs, thank you. Audrey is a Blue Origin employee, and then Chris and Glenn are two guys that bought their seats. Chris has done a lot of work with NASA in the past, and Glenn is the CEO and founder of Metadata, a company. And then Bill Shatner needs no introduction. But he launched on it, and the launch went great. Everything was cool. We didn't see much in-capsule shots like that. I kind of wish. But here, Blue did post some footage. Look at this. Well, that's pretty neat. I don't hate that. These grav losses are killing you. They have to, because it's so stubby, K-Mare. It can't use the natural pendulum effect. The thing is stubby. It has to do that. That's so gnarly. That's crazy. So everything went well, but the best part of it was when they got out of the capsule and William Shatner started talking about his experience. He had there's a phenomenon that astronauts talk about, and don't get me wrong, I ain't familiar with this. I don't know what this looks like. But we got a pretty good representation of it today. It's called the overview effect, right? A lot of folks say that when they go up into space, it's a very profound experience. It's it changes your perspective on things, literally and physically, right? You going up into space is the only way to really grasp the scale of the Earth when you see it from a long way. Literally, the overview effect. It's kind of funny because William Shatner got out of the capsule and he just didn't have any words. He's like, what just happened? Like, he looked confused. He looked confused as all hell. I really gotta see if we can go find a clip of that. It's really kind of moving stuff. You can really tell. Like, I get it. The guy's an actor. Like, I understand. But if you've watched a lot of Star Trek, you know that, I could say that with pretty reasonable confidence that was not acting. Here, let me get the footage up here. It's pretty wild stuff. Here. So watch it. This is a replay from this morning.
Have begun. Smiles all around. William Shatner taking in the moment clearly.
What you have done. Everybody in the world needs to do this. Everybody in the world needs to see the oh my God. It was unbelievable. I mean, the little things of weightlessness. But to see the blue color go whip by, and now you're staring into blackness. That's the thing. The covering of blue, this sheet, this blanket, this comforter of blue that we have around. We think, oh, that's blue sky. And then suddenly you shoot through it all of a sudden, as though you whip off a sheet off you when you're asleep. And you're looking into blackness, into black ugliness. And you look down, there's the blue down there, and the black up there, and it's just, there is Mother and Earth and comfort, and is there death? I don't know. Is that death? Is that the way death is? Whoop, and it's gone. Jesus. It was so moving to me. This experience has been something unbelievable. You see, yeah, you know, weightless, my stomach went up, and I thought, God, this is so weird. But not as weird as the covering of blue. This is what I never expected. Oh, it's one thing to say, oh, the sky and the thing and the fragile thing. It's all true. But what isn't true, what is unknown until you do it, is there's this pillow, there's this soft blue. Look at the beauty of that color. And it's so thin. And you're through it in an instant. It's what a, I'll think of it.
I mean, the atmosphere.
Is it a mile? 2
No,
miles?
I mean, it depends on how you measure because it thins out, but maybe 50 miles. Not even.
But you're going
Yeah.
2,000 miles an hour. So you're through 50 miles, whatever the mathematics
Fast.
are.
Yeah, really
You know,
fast.
it's like a beat, and suddenly you're through the blue.
Fireworks.
And you're into black. And you're into, you know, it's
Right,
rods,
Basia?
spheres, and galaxies and things. But what you see is black. And what you see down there is light. And that's the difference. And not to have this, you have done something. I mean, whatever those other guys are doing, what isn't, I don't know about that. What you have given me is the most profound experience I can imagine. I'm so filled with emotion about what just happened. It's extraordinary, extraordinary. I hope I never recover from this. I hope that I can maintain what I feel now. I don't want to lose it. It's so much larger than me and life. It hasn't got anything to do with the little green planet, the blue orb, and it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the enormity and the quickness and the suddenness of life and death and oh my God.
It's a trip, isn't it? It's a friggin' trip, man.
So beautiful.
Beautiful,
Right, man?
yes, beautiful in its way, but
No, I mean your words.
oh my words.
It's just amazing.
I don't know. I can't even begin to express what I would love to do is to communicate as much as possible.
Dude, you already do, man.
Jeopardy, the
You already do.
moment you see how
What are you gonna
the
do, more?
vulnerability of everything. It's so small. This air, which is keeping us alive, is
Right
thinner than
leg.
your skin. It's a sliver. It's immeasurably small when you think in terms of the universe. It's negligible. This air. Mars doesn't have it.
Right there.
Nothing. I mean, this and when you think carbon dioxide changed to oxygen, and what is it, 20%, and suddenly that level that sustains our life. It's so thin to dirty it. I mean, that's another whole
And you shoot
subject.
through it. What you were saying about shooting through it so fast.
So quickly, 50 miles
Then you're just in blackness.
you're in death. The moment
This
you
is life.
This is life, and that's death. And it's in an instant. You go, wow, that's death. That's what I saw.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And wow.
I am overwhelmed. I have no idea. You know, we were talking earlier before going, well, you know, it's going to be different. You go, yeah, it's going to, and you have whatever that phrase is you have, that you have a different view of things. It doesn't begin to explain, to describe what for me, I mean, everybody's going to, but, and this is now the commercial, everybody, it would be so important.
I'll explain in a second,
everybody
Reaper.
to have that experience through one means or another. I mean, maybe you could put it on 3D and wear the goggles
Yeah.
and have that experience. I mean, that certainly is a technical possibility. But what you need also, we're lying there and I'm thinking, listen, one delay after another delay, we're lying there, and I think, how do I feel? And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm a little jittery here, And when they moved the pins, oh, there's something in the engine. They found an anomaly in the engine. They found an anomaly in the engine. We're going to hold a little longer. Oh, you're going to hold a little longer. And I feel this, you know, the stomach, the biome inside. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm thinking I'm a little nervous here. Another delay, I'm a little more nervous. And then the thing starts. By the way, the simulation is, they have to be warned. It's only a simulation. Everything else is much more
Doesn't capture
and besides which, the jeopardy. Bang! This thing hits. You go, well, no, you know, that wasn't anything like the simulation.
The G-force,
the G-force, and just tell me, what's going to happen to me?
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to survive the G-force? You feel that?
Yeah,
Am I going to
sure.
survive it?
Yeah.
And then I think, good Lord, that, you know, just getting up the bloody gantry was enough. Oh my God, what an experience. What? Nothing.
It looked like you had a moment of camaraderie with your
Oh, we all hugged
crewmates
each
up
other.
there and-
You know, you share. It's like being in battle together, really. And there is this bonding of being in battle. But you're also embattled inside yourself. Oh my goodness. Wow. I have had an experience.
We're gonna pin you guys now. Woo!
Okay, the pin ceremony is cringe. You don't need to see that part. How about that, huh? Yeah, Tessa, right? Did we see the launch? We saw it this morning, Pixel. Oh my. You know what the funny part of that is? Just on a side note, like, it's funny because, you know, it's like Jeff Bezos next to him. He's like one of the richest guys on the planet, Mr. Cool. Like, now it's pretty obvious you're still a nerd. Like, and I mean that in an endearing way, honestly. It's like, the guy is, you could tell he's digging like every second of this. He's trying to contribute, but it's just, you can't compete with Shatner. He's the guy can articulate it way better than you, so it just comes off as socially awkward. It's just, I mean, I can't say that I would be any different. I'd be like, hi, you're the captain. Yeah, it's funny, Tessa. That's hilarious to me. This is big bad Jeff Bezos got his, you know, aviator glasses on, got a shaved head. G-forces! Like, I'm sorry, that's awesome. That's really funny to me. Oh boy. Yeah. That speech from Shatner carries more weights than the entire Virgin Galactic broadcast, not gonna lie. Facts. See the mothership in the distance. Yep. We'd love to hear what he said after his small time of reflection. I'm sure we'll get something. That's right, Matt. Yeah, I think it really looks like Jeff had like an existential moment where he's like, am I talking to Captain Kirk that I just launched into space? And he's telling me how awesome I am? Like, you could tell, you could tell he's like, did that really happen? Did I just launch the captain into space? You could tell, you could see the gears turning up there when he's talking. Like, here, well, let me put it on mute. Like, look, he's just like, am I the... Signer, it's a good idea. New Shepard's cool. Don't bark up the Blue Origin Street too much, dudes. Guys, it's just a lot of stuff's getting caught up in the hype. But look at this. That was worth it right there. We need Patrick Stewart and Steve Downes next. Yep. You could tell that's the nodding, like deep in thought nodding, when you're listening to the person, but you're also kind of not listening to the person. You know what I mean? I know he's thinking in the back of his head, like, holy crap, I just launched the captain into space. This is nuts. What is happening right now? That's hilarious to me. I'm sorry. That's really funny. Oh, man. Like, it's funny because he's nerding. Like, even Jeff Bezos is impervious to nerding out when the captain is there, when Captain Kirk is there. That makes, you know what? That makes me pretty happy. That's pretty cool. Yeah, firework. I hope so. Yeah, you could hear the gears going. Wait, did I just do that? That's pretty cool. I just launched one of my childhood heroes into space. That's pretty neat. Yeah. It's crazy. Crazy. But you can listen to him when he talks now to now. You can tell he's trying to contribute, like, but it's the friggin' captain. Like, can't compete. Yeah, Domsky, I agree. The people yelling in the background was really annoying. Everybody's all yelling in the background, man. Like, dude, I would be over here listening. I'd be like, that, dude, you're a legend. Yeah, that's right, Vanguard. One Charlotte hero, but still no NASA contract. Hey, I get it. Like, oh, there's also some other things that you guys might want to see. Namely, a couple of segments that Blue Origin had at the beginning here. Here, take a look. Where is it? Here, I'll show you the part where they showed off their this is the part you want to see, I know. They showed off their great astronaut complex.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
That fire pit, but each astronaut gets this pretty luxe airstream. It's kitted out on the inside very, very nicely. And our hospitality team, they've got decades of experience, and they really make you feel
a
like
face
you
when that
are,
trailer's nicer than my
like
apartment.
You are part of an adventure. I can say I had the good opportunity.
Look
of
at
being
those
able to
towels. Look at the
experience
robes
this
that they
just a couple of
have.
months ago, as I got to go through my training, and it really rounds it out. You know, and when we built the
yes,
astronaut
Blue
village
Origin
and the hospitality
cocktails
component
and
of this.
And a mug. Quiche! Apollo 8! Is it bad if I like that? I agree, Buck. That would be pretty cool. No Romulan ale? I know. A lot of missed Star Trek reference opportunities. No, I'll be honest with you guys. I didn't want to show you that. Here's what I wanted to show you.
We took the first huge step with first human flight on New Shepard, and New Glenn is going to be the next huge step for Blue Origin.
You have to put the...
You know what? I'm just gonna play this whole segment, and then we'll go back and look at it.
Infrastructure in place to give us a road to space where we could actually maintain a permanent presence in space, and New Glenn is the key to all of that.
The scale from New Shepard to New Glenn is humongous.
New Shepard is the single stage that gets you into suborbital. This takes you to orbital space.
We are building a rocket and a launch site that can put more payload into space than anybody else.
We're going to be launching, Blue Origin developed payloads, lunar landers, and human space flight.
The scale of what's coming with New Glenn is just unbelievable.
This is a huge vehicle. This thing's massive, and it's modern. It's reusable. It's new hardware that's going to be changing the game, and it's going to be the next generation of launch vehicle.
We're in the space coast of Florida, where all the action is, where the history of human space flight started.
It's been amazing to watch this launch site grow up.
First started here, it was a couple equipment pieces here and there, but now it's flourishing. It's super exciting.
It's a huge job to bring a rocket like the New Glenn together. It only happens with diligent teamwork.
It's a lot of dedication from a lot of teams across Blue.
We have engineers, we have electricians, we have technicians.
It takes a lot of teamwork, dedication, just passion for this mission.
It's not about us having a day in, day out job. It's about having a vision that's way bigger than all of us.
Building a road to space to me means paving the way for having that infrastructure to make space more accessible.
To provide Access to space for everyone.
Build a road to space means we're working on a legacy that will last 100 years and longer.
I'm Jerry Gleckel.
I'm Emery Coles.
Justin White.
Sandy Lee.
Dave Powell.
Allison Crone.
Kelsey Cromer.
Meg Dalton Hoffman.
I'm Jennifer Oldham, and I'm building a road to space.
I'm building the road to space.
I'm building a road to space.
I'm building a road to space.
I'm building a road to space.
So, let's just back it up a little bit. There are a couple things in there that I wanted to show you. So, check this out. I paused it during the cast this morning, but I want to show you guys this again. So look, right here, that's a Pathfinder. That's a Pathfinder mock-up, okay? So it's not a real booster, obviously. But what this thing is a mass simulated steel model of the first stage, right? And you can see that it has counterweights in it right there. See the counterweights in the back? That's for where the engines would be. Basically what this thing is a mass simulator that mimics the exact spatial constraints and hoisting points of the actual booster. Long story short, they use this thing to be able to figure out how to build all the equipment to move the boosters around. It's called the Structural Pathfinder. SLS had a Structural Pathfinder as well. That's what it looks like right there. It's basically a mock-up of the booster. That's the exact weight and size of the booster, and it has all the attachment points in the same spots as the real one, but obviously it has those on it. That's Blue Origin's version of that same thing right there. That's it. Now, this is just a mock-up. That's just a Pathfinder. This right here is flight fidelity. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't know if that's going to be part of an actual first stage right there, but this looks like an engine section right there, so that looks like part of the vehicle down here, and that's an interstage. That's absolutely a New Glenn interstage. That's this piece up here. See the 4 blue pegs at 12, 3, 6, and 9? Yeah, 12, 3, 6, and 9. Those are the holes for the wing actuators that will steer this first stage back. Now, once again, I'm not exactly sure that that is flight fidelity. I think it is a flight fidelity model, but I think it's a structural testing article above anything else. I think that's the first one. That's probably the first flight prototype that they're making. But hey, we've seen new components here that aren't just this mock-up that's been sitting there. That is a huge step, meaning that Blue Origin has started manufacturing flight hardware for New Glenn right there. Now, keep in mind, I don't think this piece is ever going to fly. This is a testing piece. They would, think about Starship's SN7, 7.1, 7.2. They're just something that they're going to use for dynamic testing or structural testing or whatever. It's never going to leave the ground. But these are flight fidelity pieces of equipment here. SLS also had flight fidelity testing articles like this one. There's a LOX tank test article testing out the forward skirt on SLS and the inner tank right there, and the LOX tank. That is flight fidelity. The one that's on the core stage and this one is pretty much the same. They just made this first and used it for testing. They blew that one up on a stand, if I'm remembering right. Oh yeah, there it is. They crunched it in a huge vise. Yeah. Yeah, we'll probably see a Starship tank do this at some point. See all the hydraulic jacks? They literally crush it to test with dynamic loads. They test varying load on the vehicle. And then SLS also had the hydrogen tank that they also blew up on the test stand. It failed at 260% of rated load after 3 hours. The engineers that worked on this test basically predicted the failure mode with a 3% deviation, which that's really hard to do. Yeah, they basically put this thing on this, which, see this yellow bit up here? It's a gigantic hydraulic press. This is a huge hydraulic press. That's what it's used for. It crushes that damn tank. It applies load to it, just to simulate the loads experienced on the way up, with the rocket engines pushing up and gravity pushing you down, right? They clamped the thing, and The Boeing engineers predicted like that it would fail at 260% of rated load after like 3 hours exact. It failed at 260% of rated load at like 3 hours and like 1 or 2 minutes. They got it right within a 3% deviation, which is damn good engineering. That's really, really, really good. But yeah, see these test articles that NASA used. These test articles here are what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure that that's what these things are. They're probably going to be tested to failure if I had to guess. But we still get flight hardware in there. That's a big change, guys. And then there's the mock-up again. So the SLS tank can safely do 125%. Well, Firework, why the heck would you rate something at 260% of rated load? You tell me. Let's see if people know who's paying attention. So the SLS, that means the SLS core stage can take 260% of rated load. Why would you need to over-engineer it so much? Bigger upper stage. SLS in the Block 1 format has an ICPS on top of it. In the Block 1B and the Block 2 format, you have a much bigger upper stage. That's why they're future-proofing the design. They're future-proofing it. They're designing it to be able to handle 2 different types of upper stages and dynamic payload. I mean, most rockets are designed for dynamic payloads, but they're future-proofing the design. It's part of that's just on a side note. That's the reason why SLS is taking a little while. They're designing it for like 2 different types of upper stages. But once again, it's cool to see that very similar flight hardware coming from New Shepard. That also tells me that Blue Origin is also using a waterfall style testing. They're using waterfall style testing, or else we would have seen tankage by now, right? So if they're using a similar type of testing as SLS, it's going to be slow, right? But here, there's a couple more things I want to show you. Look at this. I don't think that you can call it future-proofing when the Block 1B configuration was in the intended configuration from the start. Well, what do you call that then? Okay, we won't call it future-proofing, Synerd. Here's what we'll call it. We'll call it planning for stuff that may or may not happen in the future, but kind of we think it's going to happen in the future, so we're going to engineer for it anyway. We'll call it that instead. Much more efficient. Scotty said in TNG, you never engineer something for what you need. You engineer it for double, so you always have a bit of wiggle room and look like a miracle worker. True. Novus, we'll call it proofing the future. I like that. No, Synerd, I understand what you're trying to say. I'm just being a jerk. Hey, human person, what's up? Yeah, Joe, I'm getting to that because I've seen a bunch of people ask where are the engines. You'll see.
Discovery, go at throttle.
Human person with a 28-monther. This is the other thing I wanted to show you. So these guys are cleaning the fairing after manufacturing. These guys are wiping down the fairing. First of all, that fairing is frigging gigantic. Almost as big as Starship's barrel and nose cone segment. I mean, it's friggin' huge. The future is proof. It's the old under-promise, over-deliver thing that engineers love to do. I'll go with that. Look at this. More parts being manufactured here. Now, what's this? I don't know exactly what we're looking at here, to be honest with you. I don't...
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, human person gifted out 5 subs. Hey, thanks, man. Right on. Alright, this is what I wanted to see next. Okay. So, they're working on some kind of ring forward skirt right here. Novus, you know what's funny, dude? I'm looking at this. This is all very similar to SLS. It's like they use the exact same tooling as SLS almost. It's just the 7-meter variant. Isn't this just project... But isn't this project abandoned in favor of Project Jarvis? I think Project Jarvis is an upper stage for New Glenn Endos, so no. Looks like an engine section to you. Yeah, that's a good guess. Now, here's the next stuff that I wanted to show you. Look at this. So this is Complex 36 right here, Slick 36. Blue Origin leased 3 pads from the Air Force and combined them to make one gigantic one. Guys, this complex is almost as big as 39A. It's very close. Actually, it might even be a little bit bigger. Check this out. Awesome shot of the flame trench right there. This is the flame trench and the reaction frame, or the launch table for New Glenn. First time we've ever seen it. Now, check this out. Yeah, caviar, pretty much. Now, you think you understand how big this is till you see that person crouching on the flame trench right there. And then you realize that this flame bucket in flame trench is as big as a 10-lane highway. Look at the guy standing over there. That is a gigantic launch pad. That is a gigantic mother. That's a big flame trench, dude. That's as big as 39A and 39B. It's very big. But still no rocket. Relax. Well, alrighty then. Draw a car on it. It would be a truck. Thank you very much. And then, that's New Glenn's transporter erector. Is that wood as a heat shield for the flame trench? No. It's metal, because it's rusting. That's neat. It looks like they'll replace those brown pieces in the flame trench after a certain amount of uses. It ain't the dragon scales that are in 39B, Novus, that's for sure. But it's something like it. This could be an ablator, guys. It's possible. It's possible it could be an ablator. Who knows? What's the one past New Glenn anyway? New Armstrong? I want to see where they are on that idea. Well, I noticed that this flame trench is not necessarily long, but it's very wide. It's a very wide flame trench. You sure it's not wood the way it's wet? What would putting wood down there accomplish? There's a stir welder. This machine is stir welding a bulkhead right there. See that? It's a friction stir welder. They basically take sheets of aluminum and they butt them up together, and then this thing has basically it's like a cake mixer almost, but it heats up the metal and then mixes it via friction. It takes the metal like this and kind of melds it together like that. It stirs it around, and it uses friction to heat it up and stir it together. Stir welding. Pretty awesome stuff. Those guys are cleaning the fairing. What is this? What really trips me out is that this is a brand new launch pad, not from an old rocket, not from the 60s. It's brand new from scratch, and it's 39A class. Yeah, and it's pretty cool. Novus, is that what I think it is? Yeah, I guess it, Mana. Unless you want to replace that after every launch, I'm going to go ahead and say that they're metal because wood doesn't rust, and that was clearly oxidizing. If it's foam, then it's stupidly thick. Yeah, I don't know what that's about, dude. I don't know what they're testing right there. Yep, there's that test article right there. Interstage testing article. Weather-aged steel. Good way to say it, Demon. Alright, let's take a look. Let's peep out what we can peep out here. Okay, barrel welding down there, Novus. You see it? They weld the barrel segments there. These two jigs are for welding bulkheads right there. And they are welding bulkheads right there. There's a barrel segment on a mover Right here looks like the stir welder. The barrel stir welder right there where they put all the barrel segments together. They weld the barrel segments vertically, and then it looks like they join them horizontally, which makes sense. Because if you take two barrel segments, right, you make them like this, and then you put them together, the weld that you need to do is vertical, so you want to assemble them horizontally. That's what that's what this thing is for. That's what this whole thing is. This is going to make the barrel segments. Yeah, see, the tank dome is loaded into the barrel segment, and look, there's two barrel segments in these jigs. One is being made, and the other one is rolling out. SLS barrel segments are made very similar to this, only it's a little bit different, a little bit bigger. Anything else? I'm looking around. There's a fairing right there. That's a mock-up of their fairing. Looks like... that looks like a Delta fairing. It looks like a Delta 4 fairing, but obviously it's not. A Delta 4 heavy... The biggest Delta 4 heavy fairing could fit inside of this one. There's that damn jig. What do you think the pattern on the fairing is for? Vent. And you got something under a tarp right there, a bulkhead. Yep, see? There's the beginning of a dome segment right there. Oh yeah, that guy's inspecting the first part of that the bulkhead segment. Interplanetary road to space. They stole the Route 154 logo. No, just kidding. Alex, bit of an announcement. I'm entering a school-driven project to develop and hopefully test CubeSat-oriented tech. Our application is a 3-axis reaction wheel system designed for reconfigurable, high-inertia CubeSat orientation. If the application passes the Kinest competition, we'll get allocated a seat on Nova Space's zero-G aircraft for a test phase scheduled for October 22. Hey, best of luck, dude. Cool. And then immediately after that, Blue Origin did this. I'll show you this video. Here.
And here's Blue Origin's BE4 Propulsion Test Engineering Manager, Sophia Porter, to talk all about propulsion.
This is Launch Site 1, and specifically the test stand behind me is Zeeks, the Extreme Engine Experiment, which is the home of the BE4 rocket engine. BE4 is a reusable orbital class rocket engine. So we've really focused all of the design and development of BE4 around reusability down to the smallest details. And here at Zeeks, we learn every day in development about the engine. We test it out to make sure that this engine is capable of delivering payloads to the precise orbits that our customers require. We have 2 test cells that are equally capable here at Zeeks. And once those engines are installed, we perform all of our checkouts, we install our ground-based sensors, we run a series of tests, and then we ship the engines off to their next destination. The individuals who are the life and breath of our site, our engineers, our technicians, our safety and quality and administrative staff, they come out here to make rocket test operations and launch operations a reality. Oftentimes we have engineers who come here right out of college, and within a year they are running engine tests themselves. At 22 or 23 years old, you could be making the go, no-go call for this engine. When you watch that engine fire, when you feel it through 2 sets of hearing protection, you feel it resonate in your body. It's just absolutely pure, raw energy. To watch that happen in real time is incredibly inspiring. And I can only imagine when we watch the rocket actually fly, is going to be absolutely an indescribable feeling.
So, I saw a couple of things there. Did you guys see a couple of things there? So check out this footage. Watch this right here. they throttle up the engine. Watch, ready? So let's look at it. Okay, so there's your ignition right there. Turbo, get those turbo pumps spooled up there. So the thing gets up to full throttle here, and then they throttle it up again. Watch the flames change. See that? Let me back it up. I don't know if it's using T-Tab. My guess would be a torch or a spark igniter in this type of engine. Watch the flame change. Whoop! See that? Well, that's pretty neat.
For around reusability down to the smallest details. And here at Zeeks, we learn every day in development about the engine.
Is there any rocket engine that starts like significantly lower than 100% throttle? I know the SSME can go to 104 regular. I mean, some of them, maybe.
Test it out to make sure that this engine is capable of delivering payloads to the precise orbits that our customers require.
The engines made for ULA will have a different type of igniters. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. This is looking pretty high fidelity, fellas, just on a side note.
Here at Zeeks, and once those engines are installed, we perform all of our checkouts, we install our ground-based sensors, we run a series of tests, and then we ship the engines off to their next destination.
How come the engine doesn't move on the test bench? Well, it can push a whole rocket. That concrete bunker that it's essentially attached to nap front is probably a little heavier than the rocket.
The individuals who are the life and breath of our site, our engineers, our technicians, our safety and quality and administrative staff, they come out here to make rocket test operations and launch operations a reality. Oftentimes we have engineers who come here right out of college, and within a year they are running
when they show the test stand again, I'll show you.
22 or 23 years old, you could be making the go, no-go call for this engine.
Yeah, see the concrete bunker it's attached to? Yeah, that weighs more than New Glenn. And New Glenn has 7 of these. Yeah, and yeah, also pretty distinct green flash, fellas. Yeah, you're not wrong. Maybe down the road they'll switch to a torch ignition, but that looks like triethyl aluminum and triethyl borane, so pyrophoric ignition. It literally igniter fluid. Same kind of deal when you have like a propane grill and you squirt lighter fluid on it, you throw a match. Same idea. It's not Hydrolox, it's Methalox, Alex. What's the matter, Ginger? You don't like the scenery? I mean, look at that. She is beautiful. Wait, what was she saying? I don't know. I was talking about the rocket engine. I'm looking over here, guys. I don't know about you. Damn, dude. It's in Van Horn, Texas, Staples. It's down the road from the New Shepard launch site. What's up? What's your last questions? What's your last question, Dagan? Look at the dude. The only curves I'm looking at are the ones on the nozzle for the expansion ratio, boys. Well, I got Bremo. The rocket engine. Rocket engine. Perfect hourglass, man. It's very nice. Very nice. Where do all these companies get the hydrogen and liquid oxygen for fuel? Well, hydrogen and oxygen have many other uses other than rocket motors. Liquid hydrogen I'm not so sure, but liquid oxygen is used in the medical industry all the time. Dang, EJ cheating on Primo with a rocket engine. Bro, you see that damn rocket engine? Look at this rocket engine. Hold on. Hello. I said this when we watched this footage initially, but that's a very similar expansion ratio to the shuttle. That almost looks, the profile is very similar to the shuttle engine. Interesting. But they are using massive amounts of this stuff. Curious where these supplies come from. There's massive amounts. They're not using as much as you think. Is the shuttle coming back? No. EJ, you must be making dang good money streaming, because you could land just about any aerospace job out there at 200 to 300K per year. Farm, I appreciate those kind words, man, but I'm not sure I, you know, don't have my head jammed up my butt, like, for a job like that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I'm smart enough to do something like that. Maybe someday that would be sick, but yeah, I appreciate the kind words, but the other side of that is, you know what, man? I may not make the most amount of money. Heck, you can go look that friggin' information up nowadays if you really want to. I don't make the most amount of money. I make enough. That's fine. Don't get me wrong. Would I like to make more and buy like 30 Tough Enoughs? Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I probably would because I'm weird like that. Yeah, I'd probably buy a lot of trucks if I had millions of dollars. I'll tell you what I'd do, man. I'd buy 2 pickup trucks at the same time, man. Yeah, you dang straight. I always wanted to do that. But, dude, here's the thing. I wouldn't trade this job for much. Nothing beats just being able to get up and go and drive across the country for 2 weeks and dude, it's a pretty awesome job. There ain't many jobs that would get me away from streaming. Let me put it that way. Because, dude, it's fun, man. It's fun. You know damn well you'd make a damn fine professional launch commentator. I don't know about that professional part, Admana, but is there some kind of front-facing rocket guy for one of these rocket companies? Well, operations is what I'd be good at, and that's what Rocket Guy said, at least. I know the macro game because of mission mode, and I don't know if I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, Shrugs, this is a pretty awesome job, man. Yeah, Caviar, maybe. You don't know how smart you are until you test yourself. Why do you think I always push myself with mission mode firework? Or Route 154. I try to get myself out of my comfort zone, dude. Are all aerospace jobs 200 to 300K a year? No. No, not a chance. It depends on what you're doing. Actually, correction, you already are a professional launch commentator. I watch you, not the feeds for a reason. Yeah. Tim Dodd did commentary for Firefly. Yeah. Would you go to every Super Bowl if you had that kind of cash? No. How did Route 154 go? Fine. Yeah. Well, it had its bumps in the road, so to speak. Well, yeah, the truck's home. Yeah, truck's home. It's stored right now, but it's home. Jack, I'm a 3D artist by trade. Any way I could use that to get into rocket design engineering in any way? What modeling programs do you use? Yes, Jack, actually, yeah. How good are you at surface modeling? You work in video games. So, okay, Jack, you use Max. So do you know, can you surface model? Can you use NURBS? CAD systems aren't that far off from NURBS. It's not like surface modeling or subdivisional modeling, all right? So it's a little bit different. If you can surface model, yeah, you should be able to parry that. You just got to teach yourself like AutoCAD or something. AutoCAD centers very much around like surface modeling, so it's more NURBS oriented. It's more engineering focused. But dude, if you can tell me why, like, Jack, you ever use, so what type of 3D are you doing? Are you like hard surface modeling, environment modeling? Are you rigging, animating? What are you doing? You're mainly subdivisions, but I could easily figure it out. Yeah, subdivisions, yeah, no, subdivisions are industry standard for the gaming industry nowadays. You're environmental, art, and vehicles. So you do hard surface modeling. I'm a hard surface modeler by trade too, Jack. Yeah, you could parry that into aerospace. You got to teach yourself Creo or NX or AutoCAD or Fusion or something. But yeah, absolutely. I do a lot of AutoCAD in school right now for stonemason things. Neat. Yeah, I always tell people that AutoCAD and Maya or AutoCAD and 3ds Max, they're not that far off. It's very similar. Similar idea. Thanks for the tips. I will look into that more. Appreciate it. Yeah, Jack. I'm a 3D modeler by trade, dude. Here. Look. What the heck is that? Come on, Maya. Load up, please. Oh, that's good. It's just asking for my login. That's... Yep, I forgot what the login for Maya was, so yeah, I can't show you. It shouldn't have expired. It's monthly recurring, Tessa. I write it off as a business expense. But, whatever. Just screw it. We'll just go back to this. Hey, freaking, what's going on? But yeah, man, look at that. That's a pretty high fidelity B4. It looks like it still has a lot of testing and diagnostic stuff on it, but this is no doubt a test mule. Well, I mean, she said it was the experimental test stand, so this is a test mule engine. I've seen your stuff before. It's damn impressive stuff. I was the lead building artist for the latest Vietnam DLC for Armor 3. Well, let's see what you got here. It's pretty good, man. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's amazing. I got the same combination on my luggage. Yeah, Jack, that ain't bad, dude. I mean, Jack, the other thing is, you know, SpaceX poaches people from GDC all the time, right? SpaceX shows up to GDC almost every year for this exact reason. Do you know any online CAD classes? Plenty of tutorials on YouTube to get you started. Just if you want to get into 3D art, go get Blender and go start looking at tutorials. Yeah, dude, hell yeah, dude. You could do this. Yeah, sure. Who modeled the cannon? Or the artillery piece? That, what is that, a 60? 60, 80 millimeters, something like that? You model that? It's pretty good, man. Yeah, Jack. Yeah, you could get away with it, man. That wasn't me. I can't remember who did that. On top of my head, there was about 120 of us. Word. Yeah. No, I'm sure. Yeah, you could. see, you're doing hard surface modeling, man. Hard surface modeling, when you go and get the reference, you know the best thing that you can find is a damn blueprint. Well, guess what CAD is? Guess what CAD is? CAD is taking a blueprint and making it in 3D using surface modeling. Surprise! Yeah, see, when you're doing surface modeling like in aerospace or wherever, dude, you have the blueprint. They give you the damn drawings and you make it in 3D. You already have all the reference you need in the world. I'm better at actual drafting than you are at CAD. I think 155s were self-propelled. I don't think that they ever put a 155 like on... Well, actually, maybe not in Vietnam, I don't think. I think in Vietnam they had 155 self-propelled. But yeah, Jack, you should be able to do it. It shouldn't be an issue. Alright, let's see. Let's see what they're... Yeah, look at that thing. Pretty cool. So that's what they showed. Blue Origin finally showed some of their hand there, which is actually pretty cool. Anyway, we got another... Let's shift it off. So that was the NS-18 mission. It was actually really cool. Hearing William Shatner speak about space made that whole thing really worth it. There's also this picture. There's also this picture for the people that want that. Cardboard aided design. Oh yes, very nice. Sorry for derailing. Don't worry about it, dude. To boldly go where no one has gone before with Blue Origin rockets. We truly want to make humanity multiplanetary to save the Earth. That was my Jeff impression. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Even if the material in the Blue Origin video was 2 layers of spray-on foam insulation, it's still pretty thick for each. It's also unusual to apply 2 layers like that after one is curved. Really interesting stuff. It's also likely for their upper stage. Noted. Alright. So, Novus, what is this that you wanted me to see here? This is a featured article from TechCrunch. The mystery of Elon Musk's missing gas. Wild stallions! Wild stallions! Okay. I will leave that on in case that happens again. It hurts. It's supposed to. Maybe we should actually learn how to play first, Ted. Chat, strange things are afoot at the Circle K. Kim, did I miss something? Oh, we got a couple of links. Sweet. Spasiba. Alright, let's see what we got here. Novus, what is this? In an environmental document that needs US FAA approval before SpaceX can begin testing the world's largest rocket is missing key details about where its fuel will come from. Experts say. But what good is being able to play if we don't have an awesome video? I just didn't know that they plan to do a desalination plant and are doing a power plant for it. Apparently that's in their documents. Oh. In the programmatic assessment. These include pre-flight operations, rocket test launches and landings, as well as fuel, water, and electricity supplies. A new pre-treatment system will purify and cool natural gas into liquid methane for Starship and Super Heavy rockets. Much more gas will be needed for the new 250 megawatt gas-fired power station. A power plant this big typically serves over 100,000 homes and can cost hundreds of millions of dollars. But while rocket launches get a lot of coverage in the programmatic environmental assessment, The new power plant receives only a cursory mention. In particular, it is unclear how tens of millions of cubic feet of gas required daily will get to SpaceX's remote facility near the border. Failing to mention in its programmatic environmental assessment is unusual and possibly contravenes the federal national environmental policy. Okay, here we go. A pipeline is the usual way to transport natural gas to a power station. An official at a federal agency told TechCrunch that earlier this year, SpaceX inquired about reusing a defunct natural gas pipeline running through the lower Rio Grande Valley National Wildlife Refuge. They want to reactivate the pipeline for transporting methane via pipeline rather than by truck as they do now. We discussed this article at length in my Discord. The article cites this nut job on Twitter named EGS Hound, who has the biggest axe to grind and posts crap on Twitter like "I'm coming for you, Elon," and a lot of his information is all sources say burger tier garbage. Yeah, Novus, I get what you're trying to say. That now I have this article up and now I'm interested, and that's kind of that's the whole point of the dang thing. But yeah, they I didn't read enough of the PEA because I left for Route 154. I didn't finish reading the dang thing. Power plant on site, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, dude, most factories have on-site power plants, right? Like River Rouge in Detroit has its own power plant on site because if you try to tap into the grid, your utility bill is going to be insane. Not to mention the power draw that you need to run industrial equipment, right? So that makes more sense. That's pretty cool. It's interesting that it's going to be methane fired, though. But that's SpaceX 101. If you're already making tons of methane to power the damn rocket, a methane power plant is not the worst idea. How do all the pads at KSC get supplied? They get supplied via truck from a LOX plant. There's 2 LOX plants around KSC. There's one in MIMS and there's one on KSC proper for making liquid oxygen for rockets. And then they get the liquid fuels, liquid hydrogen, kerosene, etc., etc. They get that from the just from industry. Not in the UK, except for diesel generators for emergency and such. It's all in the grid here. Yeah, you would do that. Novus, that's really cool, and I understand that. Yeah, I didn't get to that part. But anyway, Grabshot, okay. Let's see what we got here. I'm interested. They said. He says missing key details. I mean, they say that they don't mention how they're going to get there, and then literally 2 paragraphs down they mention what they want to do. Like, did I miss something here? Am I reading this right? Or they want to reactivate the pipeline for transporting methane. Okay. However, that pipeline was permanently abandoned in 2016. An official told TechCrunch that the now defunct pipeline houses fiber optic cable for a University of Texas Rio Grande Valley internet connection. Trucking in enough natural gas to support both a large power plant and regular rocket launches would be a considerable undertaking. It would require thousands of tanker deliveries every year, according. SpaceX has even suggested that it would be interested in drilling for the gas itself, as first reported by Bloomberg earlier this year. In a dispute over the ownership of some abandoned gas wells, the company later wrote, SpaceX has a unique ability to utilize natural gas with different economic incentives that do not depend on transportation or sale to gas markets. Regardless of which method SpaceX opts for, the environmental impact should have been disclosed in the PEA according to... I mean, they did, though. Interesting. Yeah, there you go, Farm. Hell yeah. SpaceX has even suggested that methane is a very potent greenhouse gas, and the courts have said whenever you're proposing a project that involves methane, you have to look all the way back to the wells and distribution through pipelines and the downstream effect where the gas is burned. Holy crap, Graph Shark, they actually did. That's hilarious. According to the blog of an environmental engineer who's been studying Starbase, the PEA also makes no mention of other equipment that would be typical for gas power stations and gas treatment plants, including a thermal... including a thermal oxidizer, ammonia storage tanks, and a gas flare. All of these have environmental impacts, including a carbon footprint and air pollution. Oh, I want to make a joke. But I really shouldn't because people will take it literally. But I'm going to make a joke anyway now that I've said that don't take it so literally. What are you talking about, carbon footprint? It uses methane. There's more hydrogen than carbon there, obviously. Don't be stupid. No, it was a joke. I know that you need to use carbon to make I get it. It's funny, though. Ha 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 ha. Oh, God, this article. No, I like the power plant part. That's cool. But I kind of want to keep reading the cringe because I'm a little masochistic here. The FAA provided the following statement. The draft assessment was written in compliance with NEPA and other applicable environmental laws and regulations. SpaceX did not respond for request to comment, but Musk did refer to the company's resilience on fossil fuels at a Tesla shareholders meeting on Thursday. People say a carbon tax would benefit Tesla, he said. I'm like, yeah, but it would hurt SpaceX. He then noted that atmospheric methane eventually breaks down into carbon dioxide. Don't worry too much about methane, he concluded. Oh man, that blogger is gonna eat that up. Ooh, Doom. Okay. Although the gas power station's exact location is still uncertain, it will be 5.4 acres in size and have structures up to 150 feet tall and operate continuously year-round, day and night. Most power plants do that. There's also a small 1 megawatt solar farm that SpaceX hopes to expand. SpaceX needs the gas power station to run a new desalination plant that will produce millions of gallons of potable water needed annually for sound and fire suppression during launches. Well, it's not potable, it's just water, fresh water. Large amounts of electricity will also be used to make liquid oxygen from the air. NEPA is not the only federal rule that applies. A 250 megawatt power station would normally qualify as a major new source of air pollution under the Clean Air Act, according to Parenteau and another expert. Oh, yeah. You know that EJ is really cool and totally not fat, according to, another expert. You know, according to some experts, EJ doesn't have a beard. You look all right to me? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Expert. I will cite that in my next article, that experts on the internet say that I'm not fat. When I go to my doctor, that's what I'll say. She'll be like, you're overweight. And I'll be like, oh, but people on the internet say I'm not fat. You think I'm not going to have that conversation? Oh, that's happening. Yeah, I know, Ando. It's hilarious. This article is just taking a nosedive. It's all about relative tubbiness. I'm not fat, I'm just big boned, okay? Yeah, Soviet, I'll take that's fair. That's fair. It's content and it can be monetized. Yeah. Does that mean my copay at the doctor will go down or up? The info was pretty far down in the article. I hadn't heard anything about the sound suppression system or desalination plant. Yeah. Me neither. That's really freaking cool. And I actually had asked that question when we went through the programmatic assessment. I was like, where are they going to get all that water from? Are they going to spray it with salt water? Who knows? Well, that answers that question. Last pulls. I'm telling you, Elon should try and hop on the next-gen modular small nuclear reactors. Yeah, maybe. More than 50 years after the NEPA was enacted, I'm pretty surprised to see an agency doing this, Parento said. Perhaps they're hoping that nobody notices? You're a professor of law and senior counsel in the Environmental Advocacy Clinic at Vermont Law School. Don't you think it's a little bit arrogant to suggest that SpaceX's lawyers don't already, know about this? Do you think that SpaceX would risk the money on hoping nobody notices at this point? That's... pretty much Total Staples, yeah. We didn't notice them building that huge launch tower. Guys, it's like I was saying before, guys. Everyone's like, oh, SpaceX is violating the FAA. They're violating the FAA. They're violating this. They're violating that. Do you think they would go and build Mechazilla if they weren't like 100% sure that that their programmatic assessment would be approved? Why would you waste millions of dollars building that stupid thing? Why? Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense at all. Oh yeah, Grass Shark, I kind of want to go read that now. How much did they spend on the carbon fiber Starship again? They bought one mandrel in a tent in Long Beach, Barak. Did the old guy make it to space? Yes. Guys, SpaceX wouldn't do this unless they had their paperwork like 100%. They wouldn't be doing this, But EJ, saying I'm sure they took the appropriate steps necessary and there will be issues that get managed doesn't generate the press and clicks that controversy does. Forgiveness is easier for permission. Forgiveness is easier than permission with the Clean Air Act, Tessa. Yeah, and the EPA. Yeah, no, that's no. If they get up your tail about something, they'll go after you. Look at the RPM Act. Pretty good example. You guys know that the EPA is going around fining people for selling emissions control systems that remove emissions controls on certain vehicles. They're going around and handing out fines for that. Yeah, good, great. Stupid side question, EJ, but is there any news about Copenhagen suborbitals? Not right now. They also want to restrict making stock cars into race cars. Let's move on. Let's see what's going on across the pond over in Russia here. Kim, what videos do you got for me today? We have a OneWeb launch soon, I know that. Okay, let's take a look. So, Soyuz MS-18 maneuver. So there go. This is the footage of MS-18 undocking from Rasvet and docking to Nauka. Here, let's see what we got here. Let's check this footage out. This should be pretty rad. Yeah. What's that, Jackery? I'm thinking if I should go to Kentucky for advanced training on solar. A lot of benefits to the program, and the only issue is that I'm in New Mexico, and it's in Kentucky. What's wrong with Kentucky? My mom and friends say go for it, and I'm passionate about solar. Boiling it down, if you were presented with an opportunity to double your pay, but the catch is you would need to move to the middle of nowhere, would you? Yeah, absolutely. Bro, yeah, of course. Double your pay in Kentucky? You live like a freaking king. Yeah, do it, man. What's wrong with Kentucky? Kentucky's fine. They got chicken. And the Colonel. Yeah, Jackery, do it. You don't have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or anything. You don't have a significant other. You don't have any strings attached. Do it. That's also the only place I've seen talking about those particular supposed issues, which is good to keep in mind if they're the only outlet reporting at. Environmental people are always going to argue in favor of the environment, Novus. Yeah. Go figure. Assumptions. Nothing. It is just far from New Mexico. Jackery, when I was 18, I packed up all my stuff and left for Florida. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. What's the worst that's going to happen? And you know what? Even if the worst does happen, you'll deal with it. You're smart. Middle of nowhere sounds appealing as long as the internet is fine. Kentucky's a small state. It's right next to everything. You can go anywhere. I would do it, Jackery. It's just far from New Mexico. Like I said, dude, I packed up everything and moved to Florida when I was 18. Don't worry about it. They have chicken. At least I have chicken. What if the worst thing that happens is a meteor impact? I don't think that matters what state you're in, Dunpeel. Listen, Jackery, look. You're in New Mexico. This job is in Kentucky. You can double your pay. Literally double your pay. Like, that's almost guaranteed. You're young. Just do it. Just go and do it. You're gonna be way out of your comfort zone. But trust me, if you're anything like me, and I like to think you are because you've watched the stream a lot, you'll enjoy it. It's fun. You'll have some fun. Get out there and have some fun. Dagon's like, I'm literally installing fiber infrastructure in Kentucky right now. There's good internet. There you go. Dude, just go and do it. Just go and do it. It's like Route 1. You can have your own Route 154, man. Pack up all your stuff. Pack up everything you need and move. You'll enjoy it. Kentucky ain't so bad, dude. Kentucky's pretty cool, man. It's not a lot of people. You got plenty of space. It's beautiful. It's one of the prettiest states in the Union. Seriously. Bluegrass Parkway, man. I think that's what it's called. Bluegrass, right? The frick is it Kentucky? It's a state that... Yeah, I'll just show you. I'll just show you before we get back into the undocking and rendezvous. Just stay away from the people that's playing the banjo. Wrong state. Guys, wrong state. The banjo states are down here. Kentucky's up here. And Bowling Green is there. Bowling Green's pretty cool. Kentucky bluegrass is banjo music. Yeah, but not that type of banjo music. Bluegrass is, that's different. It's different banjo music. I mean, but look at how close you are to everything. The states are a lot smaller out here, dude. Look, New Mexico's the size of like 5 states out here. It's not a bad place to live, dude. I was near Kentucky the other day. I was up here. I drove through here. And then I went up there, and then I went around and up there. Oh gosh, you have a Glasgow in Kentucky. Where? Oh yeah, we do. And a Somerset, and a London, and a Williamsburg, and a Richmond, and a Lexington. Just go, man. Trust me. Just do it. Look, one more thing. Sorry. I know it's a pain in the butt. Jack, but look, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy. It's not going to be easy packing up all your stuff and moving like that. It's not easy to do, but you can do it. It'll demand a lot. It'll be tough, but the paycheck will be worth it, man. Heck, like, think about it, dude. What you're making now, you can live off that in Kentucky and literally pocket the rest and then just invest. You could just pocket the money. You could go, in 5 years, you could move back to New Mexico and buy a freaking ranch if you want to and then raise chickens. I don't freaking know. You do a bunch of different things, dude. Yeah, take doubling your pay. You'd be stupid not to do that. This footage is pretty cool. Interesting. They aligned the station's long axis with the R-bar. For this undocking. You live in Williamsburg? Billy, tell them that Kentucky isn't what everybody thinks it is. Everybody thinks it's, oh, hey, howdy, Kentucky isn't, that's not Kentucky, damn it. I mean, it probably is to an extent, but it's not everyday friggin' life, for Christ's sake. Do it, Jackery. It's gonna be, look, man, it's gonna be difficult. It's going to be tough. It is a challenge. You're not, look, packing up all your stuff and moving across the country is difficult. I've done it. Well, not across the country. I moved kind of down the country. Dude, like I said, when I was 18, I packed up all my stuff and moved, 1,200 miles away. I didn't know anybody in Orlando. I knew no one. Nobody. 1,000 miles away from home. I figured it out. I mean, look at me. I'm a freaking moron. You'll be fine. Yeah, one of the radiators is flapping. Not gonna lie, I feel like punching something right now. Why? Ooh. Okay, so we undocked from Rasvet right there, and it's going for Nauka. Where's the bathroom in that thing? In Soyuz, it's in the orbital module. Yeah. Jackery, it's just mission mode in real life, and the payout will be awesome. Look at how awesome it is to complete something in mission mode. Real life is an even better payout, dude. The satisfaction that I got from completing Route 154, even if it was a little bit on the late side, was immense. It was the best feeling ever. Yep, Skaplarov took this thing in manually. Or no, that was a different mission. This is Oleg Novitsky. I'm not sure if this was done automatically, but...
Есть Михаил Фейзин.
Принято.
Cool. That was for the Soyuz. Yeah, they moved from Rasvet, so that was MS-17. EJ, are you into UAPs at all? I watch that stuff because I like to laugh at people that think spaceflight and satellites and stuff are aliens. That really makes me happy. It's really freaking funny. Yeah, I get a lot of Schadenfreude out of that. But that's about it, Steve-O. And they don't need a stick up there when they're in space. Yep, no finglongers, dude. Alright, what else do we got? What's the next one here? Yeah, Kosmodrom, Vostochny, Photos? Raket Nostel Soyuz 2-1B. I forgot upper stage with 36 OneWeb satellites. Launch is scheduled for the 14th of October, 12:40 Moscow time. At the Vostochny Kosmodrome, the Soyuz 2-1B carrier rocket and the Forgot upper stage are being prepared for launch. The task is to launch a batch of OneWeb communications data. I was close. Here, let's see.
На космодроме Восточный готовится к пуску ракета-носитель «Союз-2-1Б» и разгонный блок «Фрегат». Их задача — вывести на орбиту очередную партию из 36 аппаратов связи OneWeb. Пуск запланирован на 14 октября в 12 часов 40 минут по Москве. Цели компании OneWeb – обеспечение быстрого доступа в интернет через спутниковую систему OneWeb и 40 наземных станций-терминалов, которые будут развернуты на поверхности Земли. Терминалы OneWeb будут автономными, способными самостоятельно снабжать себя энергией и хорошо защищать от влияния неблагоприятных факторов окружающей среды. Каждый из терминалов сможет обеспечить высокоскоростной доступ к интернету в зоне его покрытия через технологии Wi-Fi, LTE или 5G. На сегодняшний день группировка британских аппаратов на низкой околоземной орбите насчитывает 322 спутника. Предстоящий запуск должен довести количество аппаратов OneWeb на орбите до 358.
Why didn't I just translate it from the start? How the heck else am I going to learn what the hell that says without hitting the translate button? Translate button won't always be there. 5G capable. What is... Kem, what does this word translate to? Honest question. Getting ready? Okay. Okay. Yep. Alright, I get it. Translate button doesn't exist IRL, that's right. Is there a close-up of the pins that Jeff gave the new astronauts? No, but it did look like a communicator pin, that's for sure. Rough to translate to, your mom is ready for our date. Preparing is, I guess, another way of being prepared, getting ready. I want your translation, though. Somebody that speaks it, not Google's translation, bro. There's Google translation Russian, and then there's actually speaking the language, right? Those are, you know good and well that those are two different things. Dunfield, this is Moskvi. Moskvi? So, Russian is similar to like how you change the sayings. So, like, there's Moskvi, there's Moskva, there's Moscow, and depending on the tense of the sentence, depending on if it's past tense, present tense, future, etc., it changes the name of it around a little bit. Google knows more about English than me, though. Thanks for taking the time to answer questions. Oh, yeah, always, dude. So this is launching tomorrow, actually. Yeah, I got your firework. Yep. So that's yeah, we already knew that though, but Gotov, ready. Gotovitsia, being made ready. Yep. There you go. That's actually, Spanish does that too. Spanish has like vamos is we go, voy is I go, right? Like there's different, you change the verb depending on the tense of the sentence. And perhaps a static fire tomorrow? I heard Spanish. Ivan, Russian has similar verb conjugation than to Spanish. It's actually kind of interesting. You wouldn't think so because, you know, Russia and Spain are not, you know, near each other at all. Conjugations, that's the word. I think I said congregation. It's not a church. But yeah, I mean, fellas, look, I ain't fluent in Russian, but I've been getting better at reading it. Pronunciation, though, is still... it's still pretty bad, but if you listen to it and try to speak it a little bit every day, you're going to get it eventually. It's just a matter of time. Old Andy loved geology. I guess it appealed to his meticulous nature. Geology is just the study of pressure. Pressure? and time. That in a big goddamn poster of lovely Raquel. What are you talking about? It's just a short T-34 drive away. Yeah, you can pick up bits and pieces over time. Pressure down on me, pressure down on you. Yeah, no, if you just pick up bits and pieces, guys, like, look at the beginning of the year, I could not tell you what that says. I get most of it. I got most of it. Believe it or not, you know, Russian is not so bad. The thing with Russian is that different letters have different pronunciations. So, like, B is V. B makes a V noise, right? So, like, if you look here, it's not Bakto, it's Vosto. Different. But the V pronunciation that makes is similar to English. It's similar to the V in English. It's V, not V. You kind of have to say it like back here almost. V. Vostok. Yeah, Isidio. Vostok means east. So, Vostochny Kosmodrome is East Spaceport. What I tell you, it doesn't matter the language. Engineers aren't good at naming things. The Finglonger. What does it do? Well, it longs fingers. You're getting the hang of it? Spasiba. What is west in Russian? I don't know. Ask some people in chat. How do you say west? Yeah, I know, Alex. It's weird. Zapad. Zapadny. Plesetsk by any chance? I think Plesetsk is the name. I don't think Plesetsk is north. Zapad. Turbo encabulator. I thought you said west. So what's south and what's north? North is Severny. Stress on the first Zapad. Sputnik is satellite. So Sputnik that the Soviets launched in 1957. Sputnik, satellite 1. Great. I told you, it doesn't matter the language. Engineers suck at naming things. Spasiba is thank you. That is kind of disappointing. The names for the ISS modules are pretty cool. Zarya and Zvezda. That's Star and Dawn. Yug. Yuzny might be familiar to you. Yuznoye. Yuzny. Southern Design Bureau. That makes sense. Automatic vacuum cleaners on. Yeah, there you go. Well, Vasi, we don't talk about Yuznoye anymore. we don't talk about them anymore, okay? All right. What's that sound? It's the Roomba. It's my Roomba. Brimo named it Apollo. I'm not making that up. Can you tell a dad joke in Russian? No. Suck. Speaking of that, we got a little bit more Russian news here. Let's see. This is coming from Katya. What's she saying? Lev Zeleny, scientific director of the Space Research Institute of the Russian Academy of Sciences, confirmed the postponement of the launch of the long-awaited Luna 25 mission to July of 2022. It will be the first Russian mission to the moon since 1976. That's a lunar lander that they're working on. Russians restarted their lunar exploration program with probes, but yeah. Luna 25 is going to be right where they left off. Luna 24 was the last one that the Soviets launched. They literally just restarted the program. It's cool. It's kind of cool because in 1991 they just kind of left everything in a room and shut the light off. And then when Roscosmos decided to continue that Soviet program a couple of years ago, they literally just flipped the lights back on and kept building them, which is actually really cool. That's really neat. But they obviously upgraded all the stuff with modern tech, which is neat. But I was wondering if I could reprogram a Roomba into a Zen garden grading device. Yeah, of course you could. What's the purpose of Luna 25? What is it designed to accomplish? It's doing a bunch of different science experiments on the moon, but basically figuring out how to land on the sucker again is the big one. The only Russian dad joke is one that involves bear. I don't know what the science experiments are on there, but it does suck that it did get a little postponed, but hey, whatever. Stuff slips, it happens. So you speak and or understand Russian? Manner, I'm not fluent. I can barely read Russian, and I can speak very, 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 very basic Russian. Yeah, I learned on Space News. I learned by reading it. I learned by reading it and having viewers help me in the chat. That's all. Because we read about what's going on with Roscosmos. So, like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I can pronounce all of this, and you know, the translation was already open, but I can pick out enough words to know what this means. So, Vostochny Cosmodrome, carrier rocket Soyuz 21B with a Fregat upper stage. OneWeb's in English, so that's pretty straightforward. It's carrying 36 satellites, right there. And I know that says launching on the 14th of October at 12:40 Moscow time. Like, I can't pronounce that, but I know what it means. You are the machine. Oh no. What's that, Hellfish? What? What is this? Yeah, Buck, it's gonna have to be something weird like that. What? Oh my god. So this is a Twitter post from Sierra Nevada Corporation wishing happy birthday to the U.S. Navy. With an American aircraft carrier in the background, that's a Ford-class aircraft carrier, and a Eurofighter, which is not a Navy plane, and not fielded by the U.S. Navy. With German insignia on it. This thread is great. This hurts. Gesundheit. Ooh. Ooh. That's a good one. funny. That's great. Nice. Bruh. And somebody mistook it for a Rafale, too. Why is no one fixing it? I don't know, bro. Last, what's up, Eric? I guess what they're trying to say is the furred that counts. Yep. I didn't notice it at first, but the island is on the wrong side. Wait. No. No. Ah! It's backwards! It's not a Ford, it's a DERF! It's backwards! Ah! They flipped the image! Why would you do this? Not like this! It's a DROF! It's not a Ford, it's a DROF. Why would you do this? Stop! Oh, God, why? It's a DROF class. Oh, God. Graphic design is my passion. Oh, God. Oh. Found on reef dead. Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. Oh my God. That's a pretty good one. This reminds me of a time in my high school graphics class. I made a U.S. Navy shirt with F-22s. Bruh. The Typhoon isn't even carrier capable. No. Oh, I know. Don't you worry. Is it even the Navy's birthday? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Call the Navy. SpongeBob, call the Navy. Quick, get the Navy. The phone's dead. We can't call the Navy. Yep, October 13th, 1775. Yep. As the Continental Navy. Yeah, 1775. Yep. And then in its current form, 1794. Well, happy birthday to our fellow squids. Well, not fellow. Happy birthday to our squids. Squids? Oh, come on. You know what I mean. No, seriously. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to the Navy. Navy's cool. I actually like the Navy the best. You know why? Because they have the coolest toys. Don't hate me, other branches of the military, please. What? You can't say the Marines have the best toys? Okay. That reverse carrier is to confuse the enemy. They had too many breweries, so they started the Navy to deal with the excess alcohol. I believe that. The Marines get the toys that are left over. No other branch is allowed with nuclear power. Yeah, I don't know, Dunfield, maybe. 。 Until the Space Force gets cooler toys. Until? Right. Edmana, how many people here, how many people here do you think know about the LeMay and the Higgin cutter? How many people here do you think know about that? It didn't happen though. It's not a thing, bro. It doesn't exist. What is that? I don't know. Are those female body parts? Yep. It doesn't matter, chat. They don't exist. The what? Nothing. What is that? Nothing. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. It's a meme, guys. Sorry. It's a meme for the ancient aliens thing. Just don't worry about it. It's just swamp gas that reflected off of Venus. Oh, man. The Aurora, though. That thing's pretty cool. Or is it the TR-3B? Stay where you are. Guys, it's a reference to X-Files. I'm not even kidding. Or is it? You weren't supposed to say that. The FBI will be knocking on my door shortly. Yeah. The truth is out there. Dun, dun, dun. I don't want to get the MCA. So I'm going to change the lyrics. And the tune. Do you know the MST3K movie? I love MST3K. Hilarious. Alright. Anyway, happy birthday to the Navy. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. EJ just changed everything. Heads up, we're on our way. Hey, Master Chief was part of the Navy, technically. Master Chief is a Navy a Navy officer. MCPO, Master Chief Petty Officer. MCPO. That's a Navy rank. Yeah, rank haze. Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't word that word, but yeah. Master Chief, you mind telling me what the heck you're doing on that ship? Sir, finishing this fight. Not an officer, highest enlisted rank. Correct. I knew you guys would come to help me out. Relevant. Last, please. Is it relevant, though?
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it. Not this time. No, not this time. It's totally made up. Pure fiction. It's fiction. It's fiction. We made it up. We made this one up. It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication. It never happened. It never happened. This one was invented by a writer. Not this time. It never happened. It's false. It never happened.
Total fabrication.
It's fiction. It's an urban legend that never happened. No way. We got you. Not a chance. Not this time. It never happened. It never happened. We made this one up. It's fiction. We made up this one. We made it up. Not this time. Wrong. Not this time. Not this time. You're wrong. Not this time. It never happened.
It's a total fabrication. It's fiction. False. We made it up. False. Fiction. We made it up. It's great. Oh, that's sweet. Mix that in with Star Trek as a deep fake. Oh, that'd be amazing. Anyway. Alright. I think that's everything. Is it everything? Please tell me that was an order by episode. God, I hope so. Astra? We talked about Astra yesterday. What do you want to know? Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing at McDonald's? Sir, finishing this Big Mac. Hold it! I have space news! Alright. Qu'est-ce que c'est ça? Kami? Alright, anyway. As promised, showtime. With sound, it's even better. What is this? Wait for it. A hybrid engine first firing? Oh, it, yeah. Huh. I don't think you got the mixtures entirely right. They never reached supersonic. Yeah. Low power test? Yeah, okay. Oh, look, you're looking at something in French? Here, follow this guy! Nice algorithm, Twitter. Let's just go from 0 to 11, just right off the bat. It's fine. It's fine. Emmanuel, oui! Did we see this one? What's that? Oh. Ooh. Okay. Cool. Looking good. Oh dear. That's a little fast. This is Deep Blue. It's Chinese, guys. See the flag? It's Chinese. Yeah, she plopped down a little bit, but still not bad. Oh, jeez. Okay. All right. Apollo 8. Why are we watching commie crap? Please hold. Yeah, here, hold on. Here. Just
so funny.
The captain seems to think you're some sort of cowboy.
New Paroski.
Немного. Полезно знать, что думает противник.
It is.
Не правда ли?
It is.
There you go. That's why. Some people understood what he said. Vasily, verify distance to target. 1 ping only. Stoked about William Shatner. How moved was he? Oh, Greg. Yeah, it was cool. The worst part of it was the other people cheering in the background thinking they've accomplished something cool. Hearing William Shatner talk about going into space really made me happy. It is wise to study the ways of your opponent. It is. I'm just not trying to insinuate everything. I like seeing what everybody's doing. John, you know that. Do the Chinese subs ping or pong? Boo! Boo! Boo this man! Bless him, Sean Connery had such a great Russian dialect. Was it good? It doesn't sound right to me, but then again, what the hell do I know? Was he speaking okay Russian? Yet? Your jokes are bad, and you should feel bad. Yeah, and they're spraying him with champagne, right? Yeah, good times. Yeah, maybe, Phil. Who knows? Okay, anyway. That's cool. Let's see. So, what was this test? Pretty cool footage of a 100-meter altitude vertical takeoff, vertical landing test by Chinese launch startup Deep Blue Aerospace. It looks like the engine deep throttled here. They cut the footage, right? I hope the crush cores did their job. Oh, but see, the engine's still on there. Yeah, something comes out of the side right there, too. You see that? It's Sea Launch, or not Sea Launch, Sea Dragon. Sea Launch is still cool, though. I wonder what kind of motor this is using. Does anybody know anything about this from Deep Blue? Some more background info. Oh, well, all right. So this is coming. This is over at Space News. It's coming from Andrew Jones. Let's see what we got. Chinese private launch Deep Blue Aerospace completed a 100-meter level launched landing test with its Nebula M1 VTVL test stage. Deep Blue Aerospace conducted the Nebula M1 vertical landing and vertical takeoff test facility at Tongchuan in the Shanxi province, reaching a height of 100 meters before a powered descent and vertical landing, the company announced on October 13th. Footage from the test shows liftoff occurring with the landing legs already deployed. The Nebula M1 hovers over the launch and landing area before bouncing after initial touchdown, but remaining apparently upright at the end of the video. The Nebula M1 is powered by a variable thrust Lighting 5 electric pump fed Carolox engine. Impressive. Most impressive. Okay. Huh. The test is part of the development of the 2.25 meter diameter Nebula 1 orbital launcher with a planned first flight in 2023. The Nebula 1 is to be capable of lifting 500 kilograms to a 500 kilometer sun synchronous orbit. That's so a competitor for Electron, basically. That's about Electron's payload capacity. It's close. The test follows a hop to around 10 meters in July, which used the same Nebula M1 reusable VTVL prototype as Wednesday's test. Deep Blue Aerospace describes the test as grasshopper jumps, referencing SpaceX's Grasshopper experimental flights as part of the Falcon 9 development. A Deep Blue Aerospace spokesperson told Space News that the technical team is currently reviewing the test data ahead of deciding the next steps. The firm is currently working on the assembly of the follow-up Nebula M2 test stage and testing of the launcher's Lighting 20, a 20-ton thrust Carolox engine. Beijing Deep Blue Aerospace Technology Company Limited was established in 2017 and is headquartered in Nantong City near the mouth of the Yangtze River. It is one of a number of Chinese private launch companies which have emerged since China's central government opened up the sector in late 2014. Notably, Deep Blue Aerospace is directly developing liquid launch vehicles, skipping solid rockets, which a number of Chinese startups have opted to pursue first. Interesting. Here, I want to go down here. Huo Liang, founder of Deep Blue Aerospace. Sorry, guys, I struggle with Chinese pronunciation. I'm not that good at it. Founder of Deep Blue Aerospace, started out with the China Aerospace and Science Industry Corporation before joining OneSpace, one of the first Chinese private launch companies and a solid rocket maker. Deep Blue has attained a national high-tech enterprise and weapon equipment quality management system certification. Oh. The country's main space contractor, the China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation, is also exploring long-term reusability with its Long March 8 derived from existing Long March rockets. Oh yeah, that thing. Why is Sea Dragon launched from water and not a pad? Because it's made out of ship metal, and it's too big. Sea Dragon would have been gigantic, Clayton, had it flown. Yeah, this thing. It is Kerbal stuff. Yeah. Yeah, that thing. So this thing is designed to fly up on... What was it, guys? I forget. How did this thing work? It flew... It's designed to fly... It's designed to fly up on the outer stages. So it flies up with the booster rockets and then lands with... I think the booster rockets are solid, if I'm remembering correctly. It flies up on 2 solid rocket boosters, and then it lands with a liquid fuel rocket booster while the solid fuel rocket boosters are still attached. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I built something like this in KSP, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. I built that in KSP just to see if it would work. It works. I mean, that's just KSP, though, you know? That doesn't even take into account the hypersonic aerodynamic perturbations that that's going to happen to this thing when it goes through re-entry. There's going to be a shock layer right here that's going to... Those wings aren't going to play nice with that. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, there's a reason why if you look at the bottom of, like, Falcon 9, for instance, here... Actually, hold on. If you look at the bottom of a Falcon 9 here, let's go in here like this. There's a very good reason why the bottom is kind of tapered. See right here? It's tapered out. There's a very good reason for that. See how it's kind of flat and then it tapers out and then it goes cylindric? Yeah, that's there for a very good reason. Because plasma happens right there. It's no good. The wings are worried, but the wings are worrisome. But could just give pending entry profile. They could just give pending entry profile. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Rocket. I mean, it like the thing about, see, Rocket, and that leads into another thing. Okay, the thing about rocket science is technically anything's possible. Yeah, of course. How much money you want to spend? You know, doing stuff with cars, but okay. Oh, here goes EJ. Is going to talk about cars again. No, everybody asks, hey, can I put a bigger engine in my car to make it go faster? Yeah, sure, of course. You can put anything in anything if you have enough time and engineering knowledge and fabrication knowledge. You can make anything go in whatever you want. You could make a rocket do that. You can make a rocket land with its boosters still attached on the sides. That's totally doable. I don't see why not. AP's like, someone say Kaz, mate. Could you put a bigger engine in your toy car? No, a bigger motor though. With enough money, you can make a grain silo fly. Hey, there are toy cars with engines in them. So? Here, just look at the NSF footage. Let's check the Starship footage for today. One last space news. I clicked on Hired's link. Oh yeah, there's the flying grain silo, yes. Ah, ESM2, very cool. They didn't do the static today and it screwed me all up, AP. Chat, when are we looking at the next test window for SN20? With enough C4, you can move a mountain. Wow. A close friend of mine who works in the custom car industry, they always say, I can do anything you want if you have the budget. Tomorrow? A que hora? A que hora, amigos? A que hora para testing mañana? My dream car is to build an open-wheel single-seat mid-engine roadster around an SRT-10 Viper engine. There's a guy on YouTube that did something like that, minus the Viper engine part. Could you make a nuclear-powered car? Sure, if you want to grow a third arm. Yeah, you could have an RTG shoehorned in the back of a car done peel and then basically a heat plate that takes the radioactive decay and charges a battery. Yeah, you could do that, or you could make a little mini nuclear reactor. There's that whole radiation thing. You probably don't want that. If you put an RTG in the back of a Tesla and hooked it into the battery charging port, yeah, sure. But the thing is that you'd have to park it for a long period of time. The RTG would recharge the battery, and then you just keep going. How will they not break tiles when picking up SN20 again? Not sure. Look at that thing, though. Oh my goodness. See, this looks a lot better than SN20. Wow, this is like light years better. Hey, it looks like they glued the tiles up there. Guys, yeah, nuclear trains. Nuclear trains, not a good idea. No, not a good idea. Nah, bad idea. Nuclear cars, even worse idea. Nuclear planes? How big of a plane you want to make? I don't know what that means, Fangloriously. Next static fire window is 5 p.m. to midnight Central tomorrow. Okay. Dodge. There's no nuclear boats, Dunpeel. There's nuclear ships. It's the Navy's birthday. Don't disrespect. That's my job. I know, Gaw. Yeah, once. And then they never did it again. Wrong, most of our nukes are on boats. Here we go, here we go, with the whole submarine's a boat thing. Yeah, we get it. Sure. Hey. That's nice. Yet if I call a submarine boat, you'd probably get all pissy about it and call it a ship. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna let you have it both ways just because it's the Navy's birthday. That's cool, Fangloriously. Very neat. Micronuclear reactor project. Neat. Streamer is always wrong. Streamer is always wrong, huh? Fine. Chat is always right. Now what? Yep. If you smell burnt toast right now, you know what just happened. Oh, frick! You just wrinkled my brain. What did it just do? What did truth just do? Yeah, King, most likely. Wait, which nose cone is that? Oh, I need Thomas here. Help me with the analysis. This statement is false. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Chat, we need to make sure that you didn't have brain damage here. You might just have a minor case of severe brain damage from the cryo sleep. So, chat, what I want you to do is just say apple. Say apple. Say apple. Just A-double-P-L-E. Jumping. No, that's jump. What you're doing is jumping. Yeah. Yeah, what you're doing. What you're doing is great game. Edmana, you're a piece of crap as usual. Let's see. Are the hydrofoil seaplanes yet? I don't know. Okay, update drivers. So I'm new here and I've been lurking a bit. Can someone explain to me if they plan on using tiles for re-entry in the future, or if it's just temporary? The tiles are there. Tiles are tiles, dude. Yeah, no, the tiles are gonna stay there. Drivers. Okay, so let's back it up just a little bit. You go back over here to this. So those are what will be on the final product. Yeah, most likely. Now, I know, everybody thinks they understand thermal protection systems because, the space shuttle, it's like, oh, I heard one time that a tile fell off on the shuttle, so aren't tiles a bad idea? Blah, blah. Okay, couple of things here. These aren't shuttle tiles. They're a different version of tile. This is like a Mark II shuttle tile. Bob Smith, the CEO of Blue Origin, actually helped facilitate the program to make these Mark II shuttle tiles. These Mark II shuttle tiles are called Toughen Unifibrous Reinforced Oxidation Resistant Composite. Toughen Unifibrous Oxidation Resistant Carbon Composite. Tough Rock for short. Instead of like a silica-based tile, it's carbon-based. It's a carbon-based thermal tile. Like charcoal. It's not charcoal. Charcoal is much more resembles a heat shield than anything. Phenolic impregnated carbon ablators and whatnot. Anyway, so these tiles are kind of so as the name suggests, so unifibrous, so they're stronger, oxidation resistant, so they don't absorb water. Well, they could probably absorb some water here and there, but they don't rust, they don't corrode, oxidation resistant. And it's a composite. It's carbon, and it could be carbon silicate based. It could be carbon based. It could be a bunch of different things. Long story short, these Tough Rock tiles are a lot better. They don't fall. They don't fall off as much. SpaceX is having some problem with adherence right now. They'll figure those out. But Tough Rock also flies on this over here, the X-37B. This is Boeing's space plane that the Air Force and the Space Force use. I think it's just the Air Force right now. Those are Tough Rock tiles on the X-37 right there. See those? Same thing. Those work just fine. They've never fallen off on this thing. Heck, this thing doesn't even have an RCC nose cone. The tiles straight up resist the re-entry heating. It's a very good design, long story short. What happened to the Starship that blew off a bunch of tiles? That's SN20. That's the one that you just saw. It's this thing. They repaired it. Can we talk about how clean that barrel section with tiles is? It's very good. Why do they keep quoting them as silica ceramic tiles then instead of carbon ceramic? That could be just what they called. I'm pretty damn sure they're Tough Rock tiles. Who's producing the Tough Rock? SpaceX. SpaceX is making those in-house. And it could be a variation of Tough Rock too. It could be a silicate-based version of Tough Rock. They're actually, you know where they make them? Somebody knows. Forklift. RB11. Good car. Who knows where they make them? SpaceX makes them in-house. They do make them somewhere in the U.S. Earth. On Earth. In Florida. They made them at SpaceX's East Coast original Starship testing site where they built Mark II. Sidco Road in Florida. Welcome to Earth. In a Winnebago. No, that's a different type of cooking, Bram. No, they're not made in Boston. They're made right here. Ding! See? SpaceX had built starships here. They started building a starship here. And then they stopped. Oh, wow. That's a nice picture of a cloud. Yep, see? They started building rings and stuff there. And then they stopped, and this place now produces all the tiles for Starship. I was 70% sure EJ was going to say Kentucky. Yep, okay. All right, Firework. See you, buddy. That's only where they make the sludge for the tiles. Oh, okay. I already closed Google Earth, Thomas. Where is that? All right, human. Good night. Why are there never any cars on the road in Google Maps, not Street View? Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. No, stress test tomorrow. So, Thomas, which one is that guy right there? Port Canaveral, south of the Middle Turning Basin. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you. That's scrap. I know, but which nose cone was it? Or do we know? Beep, beep. Forklift. Bep, bep. There's the chopsticks and the trolley right there. They are assembled. NASA should mine asteroids to pay for addressing climate change. Cosmos, look up the Lucy mission that's launching on Saturday, and then SpaceX's NASA and SpaceX's Psyche mission. We're working on that, dude. Yeah. Way ahead of you, pal. It was either 17, 18, or 19. Gotcha, Thomas. I do, Geeson, yeah. Adios. Have a great rest of your day. This old man's checking out. All right, Hammer. Yeah, it has been a long day. You know, we did start streaming a little bit early if you've been with me the entire day, but I want to mess with something in KSP after this. I thought about some things. Hey, Chopstick, what's going on, man? Any chance you'll try Gas Station Simulator? Gas Station Simulator. Imagine watching the stream. Cringe. Rare self-burn from you. Serious? Bro, I have pumped more gas in the past 3 weeks than I have probably in the prior, like, 2 years. Yeah, I don't think I need to do a simulator. I lived it. Before I go, are you going to continue Starbase building? Yeah, maybe, Hammernills, yeah. I'll admit, dude, I'm in a little bit of a funk coming back from Route 154. All I want to do is fix that stupid truck and get it ready for another Route 154, you know? Rats, I'm hoping to catch a streamer playing that game. Why, Chopstick? Yeah, hoist pin right there. Stupid truck, yeah. Alright, Hammer. See you, buddy. The MSC won't scratch the itch, Bandit. It's like how I can't freaking play Car Mechanic Simulator anymore. Like, dude, I've done that. Like, I do that in real life, like, and it ruined it, you know? It would be like if I worked for, like, SpaceX or something. Freaking Kerbal would be ruined. It would be ruined. Like, you wouldn't be able to play it anymore, you know? Jeez, look at that thing. It's crazy to me that there's just people casually working on that thing, like, 400 or 500 feet up in the air. Alright, whatever. It's not the same. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the reason, Roblox. Can that game be considered pre-job training? Maybe. No. Yeah, Chopstick, I don't know, maybe one of these days. How high is that compared to pad 39A? The fixed service structure with a lightning rod at 39A is like 2/3 the size of this thing, AP. That's 500 feet tall, so what is that? Like 200 meters? It's not 200 meters, it's a little bit below that. Like, what is it, like 190 meters, guys? What if SpaceX paid you to play KSP as part of a concept development phase simulations? I'd do it, but I think SpaceX uses a little bit more advanced simulation than KSP, but... Look at that thing. Well, I'm just walking along here. Here you go. You gotta move this. Yeah, AP, she's a big one, man. Hey, 2020. How you been since Texas? Fine. But one of my wheels rutted when we were driving through Oklahoma, but other than that, it's just fine. Truck made it home. Other than that, truck made it home just fine. Engine and transmission literally never gave me any problems. It's a good truck. I bet they need an awful lot of propane and propane accessories, I tell you what. I'm gonna tell you what, boy, the dang old rabbit boy, you're gonna fly around and man, get. Oklahoma, where the wheel goes shooting down the road. Remember when we saw the internals of the pillars and saw those studs? We speculated that those were for reinforcing concrete. So did they? No, Finn, they're still hollow. I never saw them pour concrete into that at all. Ooh, baby. King. There's the repaired thing. You're almost too good at that voice, boy. I tell you what. Thank you very much. Yeah, Finn, I never saw them pour concrete in it, dude. Glad to hear it. The last stream I caught was where you all passed into Texas for some context to the question. Remember that bump I hit right when we crossed the border, OG? I'm pretty sure that broke a lot of things on the truck that I ended up having to fix later. Tiles aren't repaired yet. You can still see blankets sticking out. Oh, yeah, because Thomas, see, I missed that part. They vented out the top, so it's on the opposite side of, yeah, okay, got it. That's a lot of tiles. Yep. I lost some of the last SpaceX test launches. What did they do? The last SpaceX test launch with Starship was SN15, and that was June. They landed one of them. The thing did the flip, landing legs deployed, and they nailed it. SN15 sitting in a field behind over here, about 2 miles that way. Was it May? May, June, something like that? May 5th. Boy, that was a long time ago. May the 5th be with you, chat. Am I right? Interesting. I'm still noticing some nicks in the tiles here and there. See that? Right there, that, and that. How much does that thing weigh? This thing? Oh, SN20? Yeah, it's heavy. I started watching Futurama again for the 6th time. Great show, my friend. Look at me, Dr. Zoidberg, homeowner. I'm not sure how much SN20 weighs, to be honest. I bet you that weighs more than it, though. You like that, Donald? I know, I study all the time because I look in the mirror and I think to myself, why not Zoidberg? Definitely weighs less than Chat's mom. Whoa, don't get ahead of yourself, Mad Cobra, okay? It's crazy. Update to college if you want to know. Passing all my classes with the lowest being a 95 because I missed a few days from my late grandfather's funeral. Well, hey, my condolences, but yeah, cool. Good job. Do better. No, you're doing all right, but seriously. All right.